Namaskaram. Greetings to my brother Professor Mar. How much time I have?
Yeah, you have 1 hour, Professor.
Okay, thank you. So I am supposed to dwell upon, think together on this topic of foundations of learning across level. May I have the faces of people who are attending this session, please? Or do you want me to switch off my video also?
May I request everyone to please open your camera? I already told you that our source speaker would like to engage you through probably asking questions or probably discussing something with him, and really do want you to open your camera. Thank you.
Because especially the topic is fundamentals of learning. Learning happens when you have an acquaintance with the speaker. So if I show my face, probably you will learn something from me. If I see your face, I will know whether you are learning or not. So those people who don't show faces, for me they are not part of this program at all. Right? I have a blog which is written nearly 15 years back. The blog is called 30 Points to Students, 20 Points to Parents and Teachers. 30 points to students, 20 points to parents and teachers. My name is DrTP Shashikumar, short DrTPS. T for teachers, P for parents, S for students. So you can see 30 points to students, 20 points to parents and teachers. For higher education, it is 20 points to students and 10 points to teachers. Parents' involvement may become less. So I've dealt with the young children to the university, PhD scholars. Maybe at the end of this session, I am given with 1 hour, now 13 minutes over. Maybe what I will do is, I will only speak half an hour. The rest of the time I will ask you to share your points, what you learned from my session. I want volunteers, or maybe random I pick up somebody and ask me, share one point. And I want all people to share one extra point that the previous person did not share. So I want every one of you to write down as many points as you can, so that whatever points you miss, or whatever points somebody else already told, you will not miss it, plus you also will have something else to add. It's a nice topic, probably one of the most favorite topic of mine, because if you look at DrTPS on YouTube, many teachers training programs, teachers engagement programs. It was also part of Academic Staff College Director in India. Academic Staff College Director is how do you make higher education teachers better in the higher learning in India. I was one of the director of one of the colleges. So most of my lectures happen to be E effective and A effective. How do you make your class more effective and effective? I have a book written, authored by me on adaptive learning. It's published by one of the Indian publishers. Adaptive learning. How do you make your learners in front of you get adapted to the system, get adapted to the knowledge, get the best benefit? I am from an Eastern philosophy style of discussions. It's from my experience. You may not get it from the textbooks which you refer. We believe that Acharyat Padamadate, Padam Shishya Somedhaya, Padam Sa Brahmacharibhya, Padam Kalakramenacha. It's a Sanskrit sloka which explains, the verse which explains, from a teacher you are supposed to learn 1/4 knowledge. 25% of what I discussed today is what you are supposed to follow. Or if I have 100% knowledge in that, if you listen very carefully, you will get 25%. We are not talking about young tenitots, maybe little elderly, serious learners. Even very serious learners also will get only 25%. Because the standard of the lecture goes higher and higher as you go higher and higher. Padam Shishya Somedhaya. The teachers are supposed to give 25% to students. 25% students have to learn themselves. Padam 1/4. Shishya students themselves. Somedhaya. Padam Sa Brahmacharibhya. Discussion with the peer groups, you must learn another 25%. So if 75% you could learn, you are a good student. That's why 75% is called a, what? What is it called? Generally 75% has got a very special name. If you get 75%, it's given a special rank. Distinction. So you are a student of distinction. That's what people say. Why then people aim for 100% knowledge? That is because most of the time questions are repeated. Not really serious learning happens and serious questions happens. No improvisation in the teaching methodology. No improvisations in the syllabus. So same thing repeats. Old question paper, if you learn, you get 100%. Otherwise, no. Nobody can. Even if somebody teaches Newton's law of motion, I don't think Newton himself will give a different answer today. So every day there is an improvement. As your knowledge increases, you add more and more to that. So nobody can be 100%. But still people get 100% because that's how the evaluation is, that's how the teaching is. It is nothing new, nothing great is happening in the classrooms. So the levels of teaching can improve, can change based on the giver and the taker, the learner and the teacher. So generally 25% the last knowledge comes from your own experience. Assume you are a person who experiment your knowledge, you share your knowledge, then you get more. There is a great saying, as a professor, assume I have got 25 children and I have a classroom. What I do is I blow balloons and ask each student to write their names on the balloon and then throw in the classroom. And you are supposed to stay outside the classroom. Maybe all the balloons are inside the classroom and the fan is on. It goes here and there. And I allow all the students to get into the classroom and ask them to pick up those balloons which is having your name. And you have only 3 minutes to do it. I'm sure everybody will go and then jump on somebody's balloon and that will break, and ultimately probably 1 or 2 people get it itself is a great magic. It's not that simple. But assume somebody goes there and pick up one and then look at the name and then hand over to the next person. You don't require 3 minutes to finish the job. Systematically when you do it, everybody gains. It's a beautiful experiment to say that when you share, you get more. And when you are in a hurry to achieve, you may not get anything and many people will lose in that race. So we need to be a person who has got a greater knowledge, a different way of looking at knowledge. Assume you want to listen to this lecture and then probably you want to say 1 or 2 points I got. Yeah, it was great. Good enough. Anybody can get it and any speaker can give it. Any teachers can give it. That's only a shallow learning. It's called a shallow learning. You got something out of it. Right? What did you learn? Yeah, 1 point or 2 points you are able to tell. No, that's not good enough. When I am speaking, assume you go deep inside that, understand the meaning of that. Oh, you visualize it in front of you. And you are able to, when I told this story of small balloon, you are one of the participants there and you are not hearing as a third party. You get involved into that. And when I say you had to share it, you are the person who is doing it. You are not the person who is waiting outside to give somebody to you. Instead of that, you get involved yourself. That means you are deep inside the story which I just mentioned. That's called a deep learning. Experiential learning. And when you experience and you share it, when you tell the story to somebody else tomorrow, what will happen? You are sharing your experience to somebody else. It's not hearing somebody's story. You heard it, you made it yours, you understood it, you practiced it, you planned an action. Suppose somebody here decides that, yeah, I am going to do it in my class. Let me check how the experience will be. Definitely you have planned a scheduled an action. When you scheduled an action, the story will never go in from your mind. But assume you just listen that, yeah, it's casually you listen, that's it. No, it will not. And how do you remember this? Always take a note. Keep always a paper, notebook and start writing. Oh, this is what I am going to do. Otherwise it looks like yes. Always I will have a pen and paper with me. When I get a new point, now I will remember. After some time, oh, he told something. What was that? No. You need not write the whole thing. You write just balloon, that's good enough. Classroom, good enough. Shallow, good enough. Deep, good enough. Action, schedule. These points are technical terms. When you look at it, you write it. What you are doing is taking note. When you take a note, soon after the class you can make a note. And generally what I do is, in my classes, I have not seen in Philippines people react to the situations and then connect to me, and then, though if you give the telephone number also, they don't give a WhatsApp, they don't send a message, they don't get connected. But generally that's not the case in most of the other places. It happens in my village when I go, but in the city when I take classes, people that get connected very fast. So what do I ask? I ask them to send the note. What you learned from me, make a small note and send it to me. I authored a book on corporate communications just by collecting such notes, and that was made into a book, and that became a prescribed textbook for one of the autonomous colleges here. Because that's an innovative way of taking classes, right? So the notes which the students make is so important. Note taking and note making. Very, very important. In which the action program should be there. And when you do that, oh, you are visualizing. And that takes some time. But when you do that, you have a plan for implementation. It makes an impact. Then you are learning, though I may not be teaching, because you have a background knowledge in which you are living, and a new point comes, you reflect, you interpret, you judge, you criticize, you add. So these are all different methods of learning, different levels of learning. So what is required? You have to reflect. In your situation, the way you are thinking. So what is happening? Though I am communicating to you, it goes into your ear. From the ear, it goes into your manas, is the software inside you, which processes. And then it makes you to write it on the notebook. That means it is passing through your ear to the brain, and then the instruction goes to your hand and you are writing. That means it is inside your body sometime. And then continuously it happens. And when you are writing, automatically you are reading. So you are hearing, and that word you are writing, that means you are reading. So many of your sensory organs becomes part of the practice of learning. So each indriya is sensory organs. Each indriya becomes part of learning. Your learning becomes more and more stronger. It's a beautiful method in which the traditional Indian learning was taught. So that's why I'm saying it is not documented, it may not be available. This class is a class because this is how the traditional Eastern Indian philosophical teaching and learning with the sharing inside you. And when I asked you, I am going to ask few points from you at the end of the session, and you are supposed to take note. And if you are a very serious student, see, generally 20% serious students will be there, 20% waste will be there. Maybe 60% people will be in the classroom to get a certificate and then show that you are attending. That generally happens. So when I speak to 400 children in some sessions, if I get 2 of them, wonderful, I am so happy. I'll take them to the highest organizations, the highest institutes in the world. There are such students from the normal college, they have gone to the highest of the highest institutions. That's what I am doing. I am mentoring people like that. So you have to pay more attention. That means you are reflecting, you are planning to implement, and you are also going to share this class. Maybe somebody will be there who is a colleague of yours who did not attend this program. So what do? Tomorrow you are going to share this. One DrTPS from India told like this. And that sharing is not for his purpose. That makes your knowledge more concrete. That's the levels of understanding. And this is what Bloom's taxonomy. It's not a new one. It's what in our Eastern philosophy, in the modern technology, that's called the Bloom's taxonomy. What is it? You have a knowledge. It's not learning. Learning becomes yours, it becomes knowledge. And you comprehension. You comprehend it. That's what you are writing. Taking note is that. And then thinking about an application. And you are analyzing, judging, criticizing, all that happens with your previous knowledge. What is the previous knowledge? Suppose if I am talking about a theorem C, a new concept called C, which is based on A and B, the previous knowledge which you are supposed to have. Suppose you don't have, you cannot place the C in the right proper, so it will fall. But assume you are a serious student, what you will do? You will keep it suspended. You will go inside and find out what is that I have to learn to keep this on top of it. So you are going deeper inside by yourself. Then synthesize all the knowledge and then you evaluate yourself. How do you evaluate? When you share it to somebody else, you are evaluating. So this is what is Bloom's taxonomy. Nothing great. This is the levels of understanding. The beyond, it's not memorizing. Generally, education has got 4 pillars. One is reading and writing, and the third one is arithmetic. Most of the people will stop there. Now, but Indian tradition, traditionally we believed that memorizing is very important. That's why young children, that is, what is the normal grandma child care? I've got a concept called grandma child care in India. And what is that? People are supposed to by heart, learn, memorize. When you memorize, you may not understand, but later you can pick up and then think over and over about it and then grasp some more knowledge. So memorizing is important. So one is memorizing, and learning and understanding is beyond memorizing. But if you have the ability to memorize, you can think about it later, you can research on that later, analyze it later and get more and more knowledge. So remembering, memorizing, then understanding, then applying, then probably analyzing, evaluating and creating a new knowledge. Now what am I doing? I am creating a new knowledge. Probably I must have given thousands of lectures, covered more than millions of teachers. But each class becomes a different class because I am creating new style of talking to somebody. I am creating a new method. I am creating some new points. And you are supposed to do that. When you do that, that means you are using whatever you learned until yesterday, until today morning, what you heard and experiment what you have seen, something which you have learned, some TV program which you have seen, everything will be added into your knowledge. So learning happens with lot of collecting data. When collecting data just becomes data, most of the teachers you can see, they collect data and then mug it up or maybe dump it as it is to the students. No, They are not good teachers. The data is not what is to be poured inside. The data you have to make it yours by your own analysis, interpret it, reflect it, and then judge, compare, and then make it yours. Then that becomes knowledge. And that knowledge when I share, oh, this man is not talking from brain, he is talking from manas. Manas is the heart. It comes from the heart with a feeling. I am enjoying. If you don't enjoy your class, I don't think students will not enjoy. I know I am talking to the teachers of Philippines. So I am supposed to give that feeling of enjoyment from me so that my listener also will enjoy. And then integrate with the rest of the things what you see around your world. Find an application with all the fundamental knowledge what you require. Then that class becomes a very significant learning happens inside your class. So I am supposed to look at the people who listen to me, care about them. If that touch is not there, that's why I said I want the faces to be on. So I am seeing the reactions of each one of you in front of me. If I don't see the faces, I feel, no, I am not able. See, in this book I have mentioned, this book is available on the internet, you can download it. There are different levels in which how does the adaptive learning becomes better and better. The teachers will look at the student's face and then what do? They repeat most of the time in the classroom, physical classroom. Why do they repeat? Because they look at somebody's face and see, oh, this person did not follow what I'm saying. So let me put it in some other way. So we always experiment putting in the same information, reframe it, and then put it. Not those people who look at PowerPoint and then blindly speak. I'm talking about classrooms physical in which you speak to the students looking at their faces. So when you do that, with all that ability of physically being present in front of the students, a teacher will be able to give only 5% inside them. But if you ask your students, tomorrow I am going to teach this, learn and come and sit in the classroom, because syllabus is available with everyone. You can also learn and then come back. So learn and sit in the classroom. You tell your children, you have your textbook, learn it, you have the syllabus, look at it, collect all the information and then come and sit in the classroom. So already the reading happens and you are using a lot of games, workshop sort of a thing in which a lot of audio, video, visual, everything is used. This talks about multimedia classes. This talks about multimedia. So when you use a lot of such dynamics inside the classroom, which a lot of demonstration in the classroom, and then keep people be able to visualize what the speaker is telling, the teacher is telling. 25% comes to the people. Create discussions among students. 25% will come. Then practice by yourself. 75% will come. This is what is Acharyat Padamadatte Padam Shishya Somedhaya Padam Sa Brahmacharibhya Padam Karakramenacha. So the idea of teaching in the classrooms, it is called avidya, for you to earn money tomorrow. L-E-A-R-N. Everybody can learn. L-E-A-R-N. Once learning is over, cut L, then you will get E-A-R-N, earn. So the idea of learning is to earn tomorrow. That knowledge is to make you smart in the world, to get money more and more. That is one purpose of knowledge education, to get a job, to acquire more, be part of the society in the development of the world. But that is not education. That is not the purpose of education. Purpose of education is to make a human being a human being. Being human. A social being. Being social. So there is another level of learning and teaching, the objective and scope of education system. And what is that? Make people good in their character. So what is teaching and learning? What is knowledge? What is education? It is supposed to give you both avidya and savidya. A methodology or mode for living, plus make people good in this world so that they become more cultured. And that is essential. And able to think. It is not that I become somebody's servant. I am able to think originally. We have an Indian system of God, very beautiful system of God system. God, Ishvara, Bhagavan, Deva. There is no translation in English, but the closest translation would be God. And what is that? We have got a God for education. And her husband is the God for research, creativity. We have a God for education and a God for creativity. And if you want to be creative, you have to get educated. And if you want education, you have to be creative. So it goes hand in hand. That's how the husband and wife become a pair in the concept of God itself, in the Deva itself. And God and goddesses gets married. Education marries to research. What a beautiful concept is that. Why is it? That is because there is a mental process which undergoes inside you and you think, yes, I am supposed to generate a new knowledge. So why are you learning? To generate a new knowledge. And that new knowledge becomes a new learning for the next generation. And that is how the knowledge improves, knowledge increases, people becomes more and more aware of. Oh, that is why PhD becomes part of education. I am a PhD in mathematics. So whatever I have learned, I can make new knowledge. And that is what the aim of education itself, to create new knowledge, improve every day. This is what is required. Then what do you think? Oh, this is what he told me. I see this is what he told me. Then what do? I think about it. And I wonder, let me look at this in a different direction and see whether I can extend this knowledge. Connect to what you learned, extend the knowledge. And every research is a challenge. I challenge. I will be able to prove this. And I can think more and more. That's another greatest level of knowledge. Challenging. Somebody else have proved it. Let me challenge and disprove it. Somebody said what is wrong. Let me prove that it is right. Somebody said it is right. Let me prove that it is wrong. Challenging. High knowledgeable people will challenge. Other people will easily agree. Agreeing is very simple. So when somebody asks me questions, oh, I know, they are thinking. Somebody challenges, oh, I know, oh, there is one brilliant student in the class. And you have to add this emotional part and intellectual part and a social part in the learning and teaching. Because objective and scope is very essential. Why am I doing this job? Now today when I come to the class, immediately asked my brother Professor Mark, whom I am talking. So he said, you are talking to teachers. Fine. So I know this is how I should modulate. Without knowing the audience, some people come and say blah 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 blah. Because you are not aware of the objective and scope. It's very, very essential. And how do you improvise? After the session, get a feedback. Ask questions. If nobody is asking questions, either I am a fool or maybe my language is not adaptable to you. Right? So it needs to be a combination of a formal class and an informal discussion. Then what is hidden inside? When I am speaking something, what is hidden inside me is not coming out sometime. You will clarify. So you will know much more. You know higher. You become more focused. You go deep inside. Or you may force me to go deep inside. That's also possible. This is what is a partnership learning. This can be at any level. The youngest to the eldest. At any level you can have a partnership with your students. So being a teacher, it's not completing syllabus. Going into a classroom, it is not teaching. It is learning which is supposed to happen. And it's a continuous process. When the students also speak to you, you learn a lot. Right? There are many methodologies of checking how the student learned or not. Normal examinations, tick, right or wrong. I had wonderful experience from my teachers. They conduct examinations in variety of ways. So you can be a very, very highly innovative. I do in a different style. In the physical classrooms, in my workshops, the method in which I capture the people to, you can see some of my sessions. When I ask children to come to the stage if you have something to ask, you will see the whole people who are sitting on the other side will come onto the stage behind me. They will come running. That's how I force them to become communicators. So being a teacher, you can have your own style. You can change the dynamics of your class. The aim is not teaching. The aim is making your students smart and good communicators. Paraphrasing, comprehension, all these are part of learning. That's why every competitive exam, logical reasoning, analytical skill, mathematical ability, comprehension, all these are part of. The last tenure, I was a mathematics professor in one of the universities here. And my class was on logical analysis, arithmetic skill, data analysis and all this. For what? Campus to corporate. How do I make my children to get the best corporate job? And that is covered by lot of classroom sessions in which people are writing examination, and the end of the class is examination. And I know, oh, this person is fit. So the test paper need not be the standard style which somebody discusses. You can be an innovator in the way you want to evaluate, and based on the class, based on the subject, based on the topic, you can become a teacher of your identity. Can be entirely different. You can listen to my class, KL University, Hyderabad. I am from Hyderabad, India. KLH, DrTPS, if you type, you will see all my classes. I am teaching mathematics without a PowerPoint. No writing on the board. Because when I speak, my students are supposed to write it. When they can write, that's good enough. If I write, that's not good enough. I want to make my students to write. And what do I ask them? At the end of the class, take a picture of your notebook and then send it to me on WhatsApp. That's your internal marks. And that's how I evaluate. So I know, oh, I completed this curriculum and that's the note. Who makes the note? It's not me who giving the notes. The students make their notes and then come back to me. So your goals, your lessons, your resources, your strategies, the part of achievement, everything can become your style, your diagnosis, your methodology, and you can be a professional by yourself in the way you want. This is what I want to tell you. I'm maybe stopping it 2 minutes prior to the time I thought. I'll speak only half an hour I thought, but I think it's 4:13. That's good enough. I spoke half an hour. Maybe the rest of the time we can have interaction. That's what I believe is to happen in classrooms. Yeah, welcome. Good enough, Professor Mario, or you want something to ask? Maybe I could answer, or anybody could unmute and ask me questions.
Yeah, I think our audience participants will be asking questions.
Yeah, that will be great. That will be a new experience from Philippines. Maybe anybody of you wanted to just share one point what you have learned, that will be great. One point which you got from this class. And then ask some questions or maybe some comments.
So, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we're talking about foundations of learning,
Yeah.
okay, what must teachers do, particularly in the formative age, okay, formative period, especially in teaching the basics, the reading and writing and arithmetic, so that these skills will have lasting effect to students when they reach college. You know, Professor, the participants here are studying, okay? Some are, let's say, the elementary grades, okay? The secondary with specialization and also teaching in college. But what shall we do to really strengthen foundations of learning, especially at the formative age?
In any classrooms or any school system which we have in the world, probably people learn, suppose you learn alphabets first. The class will be learning alphabets for a long time. But assume that instead of alphabets, you ask them to learn words. Every words, already the most used alphabets will be repeatedly learned. And which are the words which you are supposed to take? Take the name of the person first. Suppose if I start learning my name S-A-S-I, Shashi. Definitely every child as a small child also love to learn writing their names. So three letters I learned, three alphabets I learned. The effort of teaching me the alphabets is more, and effort of teaching a word using the alphabets is much easier. I remember when I went to America, we have in India different languages. There are 30-40 languages. Each state, small places have got their own language. Scripts are different, words are different. People don't understand from one part of the country to another part of the country. When you travel, the languages vary. For example, I am staying in Hyderabad. The language is Telugu. And people don't understand my mother tongue. My mother tongue is Malayalam. I am from a different state. I went to America 2 years back. I got 150 children for a camp. Most of the people who settled from India to America, they lost their mother tongue. But I told them, in 3 days I am going to teach you how to write minimum number of words. And in 3 days I could make all of them to learn how to write their names, how to write their parents' names. But if I start teaching them from alphabets, I don't think 3 days are not good enough. So when you start applying your knowledge, everybody becomes very smart. That is the most essential. That's in part of language. And similarly, assume that you want to teach mathematics. So what is to be done? Suppose if I have got to teach them half, 1/4, 1/3, what do? I take a paper and then cut it into half and show them when you join together it becomes 1. This is what is half. When I just show them like this, it becomes more interesting for them. I'm sure then immediately children will make it into 4 pieces and then tell you, oh, I can add 4 different pieces to make 1. And if I make it 1/3, then people will understand, oh, 3 1/3 becomes total 1. See, it's very simple to make them to learn. I'm a mathematician, so that's how I teach maths. To young children, we can do that. Geography you want? You can teach geography in a different style. You can look at mathematics, geography, English, all these subjects I teach. History, I make people to draw a line and then say, you are here 2022 and this many years back this happened in this world, and it's all on a line, mark it. The history can be made very interesting to learn. So you can be a good person who can learn, and there are many methods to make people to memorize. Many things have to be memorized. You can see some of my programs in different places where how I make people to memorize. Suppose we have all the prime ministers of India, very difficult to remember the names in the sequence. So I made a poem out of that. The poetry is very easy for people. I'm a poet, so I can write rhymes, I can write poetry, and that's a method to make people to learn. Now assume in chemistry you want to learn all the logarithm tables. Look at logarithm table rhymes. All the chemical names are like a music. LKG children also can learn all the chemical names of all the elements. There is a beautiful song available. Not one, many different people have created many different songs. America had got 50 states. United States of America, 50 states. How do people remember all these states' names? There is a song available. So one of the best method to make people to learn is create songs. And you can be a creative teacher. I made songs of different districts of the state where I am staying, different districts of the place where I am coming from, the different states. I made all the district names as songs. There are many methods. You could do that. Very easy if you are a creative teacher.
That was very practical in teaching different subjects, and we always look into the creativity innovations that we introduce in the classroom.
Yeah.
They also have problems in India, just like historical distortion, because in the Philippines right now, we have problems the way we teach history, and sometimes we have great historians, we have great scholars, but these are probably in favor of many people. That's the reason why there is historical revisionism. Do you have also that kind of problem in India? How do you resolve historical distortion?
Yeah, I think history is what, no, maybe most of the blunders, most of the people who look at something and then what they feel is what they recorded, right? So many people started rewriting history. So today what happens is it depends on the politicians and their political way of looking at history. They think that, oh, this is not correct because sometime back Britishers would have ruled this country. During that time, they don't want many things to happen in this world, and they want things to happen in the way they want. So what they did is they made the history. So today, if you look at whatever is available, is what the Britishers, for their ruling, for their supremacy, they made history of the country where they ruled. So most of the indigenous, the local people thought that, oh, this is not what history is. So it's being rewritten. Most of the time it happens in India also. We have such long history, probably the longest history in the world is from India. Right? So we have a lot of epics which are millions of years old, which are unwritten. But these are all part of songs which people have got it from years together. People learned it through the years and then transferred it through the tongue. And that is used for writing history now.
Yeah, okay, they have some clarification from the participants. Yeah, Sir Kervin.
Hi, good evening.
Namaskar.
I just would like to, the advent of online learning, how will you ensure how will you ensure, or how do you suggest we ensure the compliance of our students to the outputs with regards to the attendance? Because in my experience, there have been students, even though I did everything, I communicated with them, I always follow up some submissions with them, they still do not comply, and they have difficulties with following those kinds of instructions. Thank you.
Yeah, I have been a professor of management in one of the engineering colleges. I have been a teacher at many different levels. When I was in the engineering college, I took different subjects, starting from mathematics, chemistry, physics, English, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electronics, computer science. What I used to do is my classrooms used to be very full, very, very full. More students from other departments loved to come and sit in my classroom. So I used to conduct my classes in seminar hall, but not in the normal classroom. I tell them, this is my class and this is the topic, but I speak many things other than syllabus also. I relate to the ground. I was a teacher in 1985 in an engineering college. That's where I started. And I used to teach mathematics. And my classes used to be full. That is because you relate to that subject which they learn, other than my subject. Suppose if I teach English poetry, I am going to act in the class with the people, become part of, it's like a drama. Right? Kelvin, let me know what subject you teach. Kervin.
Yes, I usually teach some physical therapy students, and I teach them therapeutic interventions and other practical things. And I really find it hard sometimes to have them submit some outputs, since my subjects really entails hands-on learning and hands-on skills. And with the advent of online learning, these have been very difficult to teach because of the lack of face-to-face classes. Yeah. So,
Yeah. I'm sure such practical sessions will have a lot of problems when you do it theoretically on the online, which is supposed to be practical. So one of the best method could be to give them assignments to look at what are the different methods available in different parts of the world, collect all the informations and ask your students to make presenters. And so that you should also make sure that the other student don't repeat what the other person is already presenting. And if you are making a comment, that comment should involve to trigger the next person to present in the next class. So what will happen? All of them will have to be attentive. Otherwise, they lose the chance of listening to others. Otherwise, how do they know that the other person? These are all the small tricks which you can use.
Thank you very much for.
Yeah. Nice, nice. Anybody else?
Okay, do we have some other questions from the participants? Yes. So if there's none, let's give a big round virtual applause to Professor Dr. TPS Sasikumar. And before you leave, Professor, of course, you have given us very practical way of from understanding the nature of learners and to look into the basics of how learning shall take place. Okay, so thank you so much. So but before you leave, Professor, will you please give 2 questions for our participants for them to work on as part of the output to be given in this international diploma course.
Yeah, one of my question could be what is adaptive learning? Because I mentioned adaptive learning, I expected somebody will ask a question, you could do a check and then find out what is adaptive learning. And another one could be,
Okay,
yeah, you want to repeat it? Other one could be, what is active learning? Adaptive learning and active learning. 2 points I made. If you can have one more. What is Bloom's taxonomy?
okay.
Yeah.
What is adaptive learning? What is active learning? And discuss Bloom's taxonomy of learning.
Yeah.
For the students, you have to create your output and submit that before the next session on Wednesday. I will be giving you your Google Drive. So create your folder and submit your drive, your document in the drive. Okay. So thank you so much, Dr. TPS, for that wonderful sharing.
Yeah, my contact is written in the chat box. Probably if anybody is interested, you could always communicate. Thank you. God bless you.
Okay. Let's just wait for a while. Maybe